Hello there, my friends. Dr. Renee Tucker here. I'd like to talk to you a little bit about myself today. I thought it might be helpful because I do get several questions throughout my work week. I'll be working on a horse, and people say, "So you're a veterinarian, right?" I say, "Yep." And they say, "So how'd you get into this energy stuff, anyways?" Always a good question. So I thought I'd tell you just a little bit about that journey. Hopefully it could be helpful to you because I know we're all on our own journeys, and I like to shortcut by hearing other people's journeys. So here you go. I was, as I already mentioned, a equine veterinarian, and I actually had a lot of people, I would say like 10 people in a very short span of time, ask me, "Hey, what do you think of chiropractic and who do you recommend?" And at the time, I thought, well, basically, I didn't have any framework for that. I'd never been to a chiropractor. I didn't know anyone who'd been to a chiropractor. At the time, chiropractic was actually kind of like a joke profession on TV. So I didn't think very highly of it. In fact, I had a good client, a friend of mine, I felt, and I'd known her for a couple years. And then one day, out of the blue, she just tells me, "Oh yeah, whenever my horse's rib goes out, I can totally tell because he turns a lot worse." And I thought to myself, "Rib out?" And I thought to myself, "I thought you were a normal person." I mean, I didn't say that, and I tried to keep a professional, straight face. But I thought, where is this rib going to go if it's gone out? I think that's ridiculous. And so I tried to say something professional like, "What do you mean by out?" Like, "Well, you push on it and it hurts." And then I thought, well, if it hurts, it hurts. What does that have to do with out? But I just really didn't know how to get into that conversation at the time. So, long story short, enough people asked me, and at the same time, it seemed like this would be a good idea because I was having trouble with some strange things as a traditional veterinarian. And by trouble, I just mean there wasn't anything I could do for horses with backs that are sore. And they're sure you can do injections, but it didn't really help per se. It just kind of masked it for a little while. Same with hock injections. Same with I was running into some phantom lamenesses where the horse is sort of a little bit off, but a lot of times better when the veterinarian comes out. Isn't that the truth? And then sometimes those phantom lamenesses can switch legs, and that's very perplexing. So I was at a point where I was getting a little like, what am I going to do with this? And then all these people asked me really quickly, and I'm like, okay, this is probably God hitting me on the head with a hammer. So I looked into it and eventually went. And I really didn't believe in it very strongly. Like I said, I had no experience and no framework. But then I started doing chiropractic on animals, and guys, they really don't fake things. It either fixes it or it doesn't. I had a little black and white. Yeah, I'm totally blanking on it. The one that chases the sheep. You're just gonna love this. Border collie. Okay, here we go. Okay, a little border collie who's she was kind of one of my practice chiropractic things, and she came in because she was lame on one of her hind legs, and she was kind of interesting because she would, how border collies, when they're herding sheep, they kind of put their heads down, they're kind of like doing a little bit of down dog, but then putting their head and neck is down, but they're looking up, kind of glaring at the sheep. Sorry, it's a little hard to explain, but she did that all the time. Like this was her normal stance. Was like her base of her neck was down, and she looked up at you. It was weird. It's weird to try to picture and try to explain because it was weird. Long story short, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just practicing. I wasn't even finished with the chiropractic school yet because it's several modules. And I think I was halfway through. But anyways, I tried it. And the dog was so nice to me. She just stood still, let me do it. Her atlas was super out of alignment. And that's what we mean by out, by the way. It's out of alignment. It's also called a subluxation. But that word's too long, and so people generally say it's out. and we mean out of alignment. So her atlas was super out of alignment. Her sacroiliac was super, super stuck. And I thought I adjusted it pretty good, but I mean, she just walked back out, and I'm like, all right then. Come to find out later that my veterinary friend had, she did the small animal stuff. I did the equine, and she had already done her workup on the dog. Couldn't find the lameness. X-rayed the whole leg. There's nothing wrong with it. And then, but when we brought the dog out to the owner, and I'm prepared to tell her, hey, listen, we got the x-ray, there's nothing wrong. She's like, oh, you fixed the dog. I'm like, what is she talking about? Well, apparently, the work that I had done had fixed the dog's lameness. I had never seen the lameness. I just worked on the dog because she was in the back. That's why. And she said, and what did you do to her head? I'm like, uh-oh. What did I do to her head? And she's talked about how she never really looked up at people, right? And she'd certainly never jump on people because she ran right up to her owner and jumped up on her and licked her on the hand. And I just thought that was normal. But it turned out the chiropractic that I did, knowing pretty much nothing, really worked. And so that really opened my eyes to the fact that this worked. I mean, yes, honestly, I was going to the school, not really getting it. It wasn't really clicking, but I tried, and it did work. And so that was awesome. And so I did a lot more horses and got good results with some bending issues, back sorenesses, some of my subtle lamenesses. It was great, super great. So nothing against chiropractic, okay? This is all about our journeys. So I got veterinarian. I'm a little stuck. Add chiropractic. Work great for a while. Then I find some more cases where I'm stuck again. Luckily, enough people were asking me, hey, do you also do acupuncture? That I got clued into that sooner than normal for me. And so I did go do acupuncture. And again, that helped a bunch of cases, and but not all of them. And then I got stuck. Now, I don't quite remember the exact order of things because when time flies by, you just lose track of what happened when. I had just started taking a few classes in energy work, and I hadn't found very many in animals at that point in time. And so I was taking some human stuff. And guys, let me share with you. You might find this interesting that I actually I put on a lot of what seemed like water weight. And then I was walking my dog, but I found if I walked faster than elderly grandma speed, my heart went into atrial fibrillation. So instead of lub dub, blub dub, blub dub, it went and it's really scary, and you feel a little lightheaded, and then I have to really slow down, and then it would go back into normal, and I'm like, this is not right. So long story short, I had a descending aortic aneurysm. So the aorta from your heart goes down all the way into your abdomen. It changes names there, but it's still there in the abdomen as the descending aorta. And it had an aneurysm on it, which is really just a pretty enlarged and thinned. It could be an artery or a vein, but I think mine was a vein. And so because that was there, they felt that was what was happening with the heart. So I'm like, well, that's great. And there was, different options, and they were talking a little bit about surgery, and I just thought, that doesn't make any sense to me. The wall is thin and weakened, and you want to cut it and stretch the rest of it to put it together. But why is it doing it? And of course, no one knows why. So that bugged me. So my point here is that, once again, everything I knew, because I had done chiropractic and acupuncture and all everything I knew up to that point to try to help this, and didn't work. So then, as I was doing energy work, this really helped me learn TBT and to learn to develop my technique, or biokinetic technique. And because I remember sitting in the park, actually laying in the park when my kids were playing, and I thought, and they were like, I have two boys, they're 7 and 8 at the time, and I thought, I cannot die. I have children who need me. I was a single parent. So I was just laying in the park on a blanket and worked. I know this might sound weird, but I worked energetically on the vein. And it's a long story, but that was part of the TBT technique development, and I fixed that aneurysm. You're going to say, that's not possible. I'm going to say, I would have thought so too. But I was laying there and I did my thing and I felt this sudden relaxation of my entire abdomen. I didn't even know it had been tense, honestly. But then it suddenly relaxed. And then I felt my heart just kind of go, like take a deep breath. It felt kind of bigger. It was strange, very strange. But I feel like my entire vascular system was doing anything it possibly could to get pressure off of that vein. And that included leaking fluid into my tissues because I was like majorly waterlogged. So that was awesome. I'm like, this worked. And then I could actually walk the dog without going into atrial fibrillation, just a small detail in my life. Just kidding. That was total sarcasm. It was amazing. And I was so happy about it. And so I went on to develop the whole technique, the whole school, and stuff like that. And so I'd like to tell you one more story because I feel like part of our journey is, we have trouble. We all have trouble in this world. And then when we figure out a solution that can potentially help other people, it's so cool for that to happen. Okay, let me tell you the story. Okay. So I had a student from TBT. She's great student. I'm not going to say her name or her patient's name just because I didn't ask her if I could. It has nothing to do with the fact that maybe I can't remember her name. Don't be silly. Okay, so the point is, my student, sent me a picture of a boy that she was going to work on. TBT I developed for horses, but it's really an quantum energy technique, so you can use it on people, horses, dogs, cats, anything you want. Okay. She sent me a picture about this boy she was going to work on who had autism, they felt. She said he's pretty much nonverbal, does grunting and that kind of thing, gets real frustrated a lot and angry. They felt because he can't communicate, and that's frustrating, of course. So I looked at the picture and just tried to energetically give her some tips. So, I wrote them on the email. I energetically looked at the picture. Sorry, that's not clear. And I felt, first of all, that the boy wasn't really autistic. I know that's crazy, and there's plenty of autism. I'm just saying that as I was doing my TBT work, and we ask a lot of questions about the body we're working on, not like mental telepathy, guys, just energetic asking, I felt the boy had an aneurysm in his brain, and that swollen, I can't remember if it was an artery or vein, sorry, but that was a swollen blood vessel, and it was pressing on his verbal processing center in his brain. So I told her this, and she said, oh my gosh, okay. So, I'm like, well, just be careful. That was kind of a joke, but she was a little freaked out. It was fun. Yeah, I'm a lot of fun as a teacher, let me tell you. Okay. So she worked on this boy, as we're referring to, actually was more like 18, but he was kind of referred to as a boy. And I personally had thought, okay, she's going to fix this aneurysm because she's awesome. And then, the brain will have that extra space where the swelling is gone, and slowly but surely the brain will develop that verbal processing center, so they might see some improvements in a couple weeks, maybe a couple months. I really had no idea. Guys, okay, she works on this boy person, and she said, the mom texted me, and I'm like, oh no, but she said, no, listen, the boy walked downstairs to his younger brother, who's like 10 or something, who's sitting on the couch. And the boy who has autism and was nonverbal came down and said, wow, how's it going? And he sat down and started talking with his younger brother, which he never had before, and playing video games with him. And I'm like, what? Seriously? She's like, yeah. It's so amazing. So basically, we were both crying on the phone because this was so amazing and awesome. And it just makes it all worthwhile The fact that I could barely walk for 6 months without going into atrial fibrillation actually is worthwhile because I can teach a whole lot of other people how to help so many others. So it's so awesome. It's very, very exciting. I like to think that TBT can fix anything given enough time. As in, if you have a 35-year-old horse with multiple health issues, well, guys, we might just actually run out of time because 35 is already getting up there. Okay, but otherwise, we can fix so many things. It's really incredible. So, I know that for me, getting out of the traditional medicine box was kind of an ordeal. I just had no background with it, and so chiropractic alone was a big eye opener for me. And then I got frustrated and added another thing. And then I had my own health issues. I got totally frustrated and desperate for answers. And then I started really doing the energy work. And there's been multiple times I've had dislocated shoulders, I have ankle problems. You're all really lucky, I'm sure, and have no health problems of your own. But I do. And just through desperation, figure stuff out. And I think that's a lot of our journeys is figuring out what we want to do next because we're stuck. So in TBT, just in case you're wondering, we do have, I want to estimate 60 to 70% are people who are already horse body workers or they're trainers, farriers, barefoot trimmers. We have osteopaths, we have acupuncturists, we have veterinarians. So they're already working with horses and they want to help their clients better. And then about 30-ish% are horse owners and nobody can help their horse. They've done it all. They've spent all the money, gotten the MRIs done, and there's no answer. So, guys, I think we all get to that point where we have to figure out, well, which way do I want to go with my journey? And any way is perfectly fine. So, obviously, I like TBT. I made it. I think it works great. But I just wanted to really emphasize, don't give up. No matter what treatment you try for yourself or your pets or horse, there is always an answer. I promise there's always an answer. It's just trying to find it. So I wish you all good luck, and I hope you please send me your questions to support@tuckerbiokinetic.com, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.